right, here we are. Good morning, world. I'm glad everybody woke up alive alongside me again. Alongside each other. It's May 16th, Thursday. Now, what have I got going on? I got a lot going on. I've got a lot going on. We did a road trip to get hay yesterday. 100-pound bales, slung the whole pile of those, feeling this morning. Oh, Sarah, let me show you guys this. She's got 50. She's got 50 of these stickers left. It's fun watching. She's enthusiastic. She likes her little store. Now she's got some personalized shipping envelopes with how to hunt on them, and she was all proud, went to the post office to put her delivery in there with her how to hunt t-shirt on. She's having fun doing that, and that's all her. Now, did I forget my frickin' readers? Weather's changing, kind of sucks, long weekend coming up, and the weather's changing, of course, right? Not for the better. Now, got a funny thing happen this morning, off topic. A friend of mine, real good guy, big dude, the big gentle grizzly bear. And there's a handful of us buddies that have group texts now and then, and we just heckle the shit out of each other, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, you fellas. And then, like we used to, when we all lived in the same town in Pemberton, we'd have beers the odd time, and we'd just terrorize the shit at each other. Well, he just gave me some fuel this morning. It was so funny. He sent me a text that was meant for his wife. With hearts and everything. Oh my god, it was so funny for me. I couldn't screenshot it fast enough for fuel for later, right? You fellas know what I'm talking about. Once you get that fuel on your buddy, you gotta save it for that most ruthless moment later. It's pretty funny. So I'm trying to find where I'm gonna start off today. What else is kind of funny? See the announcement yesterday that Trump and Biden are going to debate live at CNN. Oh, holy shit. The only thing missing, too bad Jerry Springer wasn't alive so he could moderate it. Right? What a cakewalk that's going to be for somebody. Now, what else? Cringe TV, right? Cringe TV. Same as cringe slap sports. Holy shit, I made a note of that. I don't know why. I've been a big fight fan for all my life. I love fight sports. Skilled people. And you know, years ago, I don't know, a lot of people here might not recall, but years ago, somebody marketed the pet rock. You can market anything. Anything, no matter how ridiculous it is. And the people that marketed the pet rock became multi-millionaires. All it is a stupid river rock about the size of your fist in a stupid cardboard box, sitting in a fake nest. I think they put some eyeballs on it even, maybe. And gave it a name on a piece of paper, like a little birth certificate. And they marketed those and sold them and made millions of dollars on the pet rock. What I'm saying is, I can't help it. I don't know if any of you have seen it yet, but there's people... It's slap fighting where two people stand there in front of each other and slap each other in the head. I just can't jump on that bandwagon. I just can't do it. For me, it's absolutely insulting to the human race even more. I'm going to stand there and I can take a slap to the face, I'll tell you what. Can you, Skippy? Oh my god. But they marketed the shit out of it, right? People watch it. Teach their own. I just saw a clip of that earlier. It just makes me shake my head. It's like, come on, really? Really? How can you even brag about winning? And anyway, some may disagree, which is fine. Some may agree. Anyway, I'm bambling. This is an email titled, man, I'm missing out on Bobby Short this morning, aren't I? Where's her book? Did we steal it? Oh, it's right here. We'll get to her in a second. This email is titled Seeing Through Someone's Eyes. Steve, on the topic of seeing through pets' eyes, it's not just pets. It can be other people, which is the only thing I've ever experienced. It's hard to explain. But It is a very real occurrence, and I've had it happen countless times to the point where I don't even question it anymore. Much like the sixth sense, which I believe it's just a facet of most of the time when you try to rationalize it, it doesn't work out. You just have to believe in the gut instinct and respond to it, knowing it to be true. I can only explain this because of the experiences I've had. I believe a huge part of this skill is that the emotion attached can be a huge signal or call to pay attention, and can make it easier to understand what the other person and or pet is experiencing, but it's not just seeing through their eyes. You can also somewhat tell that what they are thinking and what they feel it, and what they feel it to an extent. I could try to tell a specific story, but it's very difficult to point the whole picture in an email. And 95% of the time when I've had this happen, it's been playing paintball, which I enjoy and have spent a lot of time doing. It seems that's the best avenue for flexing this sixth sense muscle for me. I have experienced it in other situations. I wrote in one of the previous emails, which I don't believe you read yet, that I'd like to have a forum, discuss this with others, and or even write about it if that's what it takes. I'd like to understand this much better, as it seems you would as well. Maybe one day in the future I'll be able to clearly write about the occurrences I've experienced so that others may clearly understand it. Keep up the good fight. Troopers growing MJ. That's interesting, man. It's very interesting. For most hard to accept, but let's face it, the shit that's going on, it's not too much you can deny now, right? Excuse me. Paintball. I played paintball years ago, and we were invited to put some team together, which meant we went against a group of guys we didn't know. And I'll tell you what, man, playing paintball in the forest was full on adrenaline. All your senses were on fire, so I can see how that would probably ignite that skill inside you, maybe, possibly. Obviously, I'm not too versed on seeing through somebody else's eyes, right? Yeah, that was quite the game. I'll never forget that. I think there was 3 fist fights, and the rules were no shooting in the head, and everybody had goggles on. I'll never forget. It got to the point partway through the day where you could hear the other guys screaming, "He's got his goggles off, go for the head." It just turned into an actual battle. It was crazy. Haven't played it since. I wouldn't mind playing it if I had time again. Only I'd slither around in the thick bush and pick guys off one after the other with what I know now. Anyway, I'm all over the map with these notes. Try not to get anything mixed up and missing. Here's one. This might be fairly important, as they usually are. This is titled Suffering in Silence. Quick note before I forget again. Rich Germeau is on with me tomorrow. Rich Germeau's a solid dude, has a lot of knowledge in this topic. A lot. And I've heard from him in a while, and it'd be interesting to hear what he has to say and where he is now in this journey. He's on tomorrow with me. Suffering in Silence is the title of this email. Suffering in silence is a shitty thing. You've brought the noise level in my mind to a normal, and probably have for thousands of people. We as a society owe you a debt of gratitude. Now, if I were to be checking off a box to amounts and types of weird stuff, it would be the bottom box that says all the above. Wow. I currently live near Blue Mountain, Ontario. I have moved many times and there is no getting away from it. I prayed to Jesus and simply have had downloads like imprints of faces laughing at me. This is odd, and I put lots of thought into this. One time when I was having an experience, I asked for help in the name of Jesus and sat wondering, did it work? As this was happening, I had a preacher in my earphones at that very moment also say in the name of Jesus Christ, and instantly when he said it, my fingers locked up and I had a sharp stabbing feeling in my ribs. My conclusion is simply that I do not have authority. Did I ever have it? Did I lose it somewhere along the way? I don't know. I have dreams of being of being stepped to stand up chair while military personnel screaming in my head. I have dreams of being stepped to stand up chair. Stop, stand up. Okay, a couple typos. We got it. While military personnel screaming in my ear. I have dreams of being raped by beings. When they finish the deed, they look at me in the eyes, and then I wake up. Months later, I'll be face to face with myself, a cloned version of myself. Something is stealing my seed and then showing me the finished product. This thing is far from over, and if anything, it's ramping up. You, my friend, have helped me keep it together through listening to other people's encounters, knowing I'm not alone. In fact, it's strengthened me to the old saying, F around and find out. I see you. I've recently shown an interest to NDEs. Well, I have one for the books you've never heard and never will. A forced near-death experience. I'll end it on this one. When I was 33 years old, I wake up one winter night like 2 a.m.ish, blizzard outside, 3 feet of snow. First thing I noticed is how quiet it was. I looked out the window, and all the street lights and homes' power was out. It was a deafening silence. All of a sudden, my brain registered that I was not alone in my home. Hair standing up, my spidey sense was off the charts. With no experience of the paranormal back then, I confronted this invisible being in a vicious and threatening manner. When I was finished, I went back to bed. I woke in the morning not feeling well. Then I started to have vertigo to the point that I could not stand up. My breathing started getting heavy, and I eventually collapsed and had a stroke, literally the next afternoon, after my night of flipping out on something that I could not see but could feel. I was dead, but still conscious. To this day was my first mind-speak experience. I had a mind-to-mind conversation with an entity that also gave me terms if I were to return to my life, which I had agreed to. In the very moment that I agreed to terms, I felt myself get sucked back into my physical body. I woke up in the emergency with doctors trying to restart my heart, and also in that waking moment, I did not want to be here was my first thought in this meat suit. Feeling all the physical pain in my body, I immediately wanted to go back to where I was. It took me close to a year to stop thinking of death again, and I want to go back. Since that day, I've seen dead people. I know crossing in real time of the death. I've been told that in these scenarios, the brain rewires itself differently after an NDE. Since then, I've seen a whole lot, and I agree with a few things. Number one, if you look into the abyss, it looks back at you harder. Number two, yes, these unseen do feed off of raw negative energy, which is why, Steve, it is important for you to keep on saving people. Steve, we do not die. I've dug deep down the rabbit hole. Like Nikola Tesla said, think in terms of energy. Last thing, sorry I gotta do this to y'all. This is gonna make your puzzle bigger. Think artificial consciousness removal. Now think what we can create in cloning facilities. Now think black budget and what rolling around in the forest and hallways. My point of observations, things may not be as they appear to be. Stay safe, happy hunting. Paul from Canada. All right, there we go, Paul. A little confusing, but not really, but sort of. If you want to emphasize more on what you know at the end there, do it, man. Just get it out and spit it out. I understand there is a very strong chance that there is people today making hybrid human beings. Without a doubt. Without a doubt that's going on. But I have a tough time accepting the fact that possibly, I mean, a lot of people think, oh, the government's inbreeding these things with other beings and they're creating them in a secret lab down underground. Well, the beings that we are aware of today were here right alongside us from apparently our whatever number beginning we are. There's too much information, there's too much proof to show that modern civilizations have come and gone from here. That means that we're not the first ones, right? So, do I think today's dark bastards are creating what we have come to know as the Sabe or Sasquatch people? Not the original ones, not a chance. You couldn't convince me that today. Nope. Are they creating other beings right now somewhere in a dark frickin' hole? Without a doubt, if they aren't, they're trying or they've tried. Right? But anyway, if you want to send back some more direct information on what you know, man, just blurt it out, alright? We're ready. We're ready to hear it all. It's unfortunate you've had these negative experiences in your life, that's for sure. Ow, what cameras? There we go. Not that you need to see my ugly mug. Now, the late great Bobby Short is still with us. She always will be, and her voice will always be heard if I got something to do with it. Why? Because of all the dirtbags that try to silence her. Now she's winning, as usual. Where we were talking about the rock apes yesterday. Nguyen, here I am attempting to smoothly pronounce Vietnamese. Nguyen described a 1995 interview he had with a man from Atapo province. The pilot reported he was, quote, rolling out on the Dong Amphan airport runway in light rain when two wild men came into view towards the end of the runway running lights. Apparently the pilot got a good view of the two as he pulled up. Nguyen said the wild men were described as having long, trailing black body hair and were skinny, but otherwise appeared in good condition. The interesting behavior noted was the lack of interest in the plane's propellers, or the danger of walking onto an active runway. Nguyen sensed that they were part of a tribe of wild men that had been reported living in the Po Vong Mountains. Nguyen cited another conversation with a group of rice huskers he encountered in a small village to the south of the mountains at Ban Lao, Laos. They described seeing the wild man, or Ngoi, run past through their fields on several occasions. Physically described the same. The Laotian wild men were thought mute and dumb, often squatting and watching them work. They had piercing black eyes. Their intent was on observing the villagers. The wild men would remain in a squat, motionless for long periods of time, becoming like stones. The wild men would rise to their feet and scream when approached, then flee in opposite directions from one another in apparent terror. Few attempts were made to scare them away because they were fast enough to catch the rice field rats, which burrowed into the rice paddies, destroying the terracing. Nguyen was at the time working under the tutelage of Dr. Joe Watanabe, interviewed a Vietnamese rice farmer's family who informed Nguyen about a family of wild men who kept a huge wild cat with black and white stripe markings on it as companion hunting animals. The big cat hunted monkeys, rats, and birds in the trees for the wild men. Rats, of course, are piece de resistance for the hill people and daily fare at mealtime, especially in soups. The head of the rat is a delicacy. Meat is sucked from their skulls. In most Asian cultures, the rat is a sign of prosperity, wealth, and generosity. Not here. The wild men are said to be lazy and steal rice from storage barrels. Farmers and the hill people alike avoid the Ngoi rung. They have bodily sores that ooze, and they stink like foul mash. Nguyen had one unconfirmed report of a Cambodian wild man covered with silver and black hair that had blue eyes. In my data, there was the previously mentioned blue-eyed Bigfoot, at Marine Base Quantico, Virginia. And another report that originated from the north of French Quebec, Canada. The third reference to a blue-eyed Bigfoot appeared in Mary Green's book, 50 Years with Bigfoot, where Sasquatch was born in the hills of Tennessee with blue eye color. I haven't read that book. Have any of you guys out there? I've heard Mary Green a lot of times. That she was also tormented and terrorized by the dirtbags. Some in research attribute blue eyes to traces of Neanderthal DNA in the Sasquatch genome. Tracy Watson wrote her a short paper that infers pigmentation phenotypes for Neanderthals, the Denisova genome, as well as several modern humans with whole genome data in her paper, quote, were some Neanderthals brown-eyed girls, end quote, published in Science Now in March 2012. An interesting read. The excerpt follows, quote, one complication is that traits such as hair color are controlled by multiple genes. To determine the cumulative impact of multiple genes on one trait, the authors assumed they could simply add together the impact of individual genes. The female Neanderthal, known as VI33.26, for example, had 7 genes for brown eyes, 1 for not brown eyes, 3 for blue eyes, and 4 for not blue eyes. By the researchers' reckoning, that means a 6th gene balance in favor of brown and a negative balance for blue. So, VI33.26's Neanderthal eyes were probably brown, according to this method. All 3 Neanderthals had a dark complexion and brown eyes, and although one was red-haired, 2 sported brown locks. There you go. Several years back, this next paragraph is titled Nevada's Nuclear Test Range. Several years back, my good friend Peter Gatilla shared the following newspaper article with me, dated January of 1980. The article cites Department of Energy, DOE, at the time, spokesman Dave Jackson, who reported an employee of his saw a hair-covered creature walk across the road in forward area of the nuclear test site heading towards Yucca Flats, the site of numerous above and below ground nuclear tests. The incident was reported some 32 years ago. No way would any Department of Energy official admit something like that occurring at such a facility today. It is clear government policies have dramatically changed since this article was published. If I was able to uncover 5 dozen reported sightings on military installations, it would stand to reason that there are as many, if not more, that I didn't uncover. The Sasquatch knows no boundaries or borders. Their perception for area limitations apparently has no beginning and no end. No doubt on that. Where am I here? How did I get there? She got the newspaper clipping from January 30th, 1980. Bigfoot sighting reported near Nevada. This is the clipping. Is Bigfoot vacationing in southern Nevada desert? The legendary creature, whose activities are normal confined to the Pacific coast, was sighted by a worker in the Nevada test site. Let's barely read it. Something miles north of Las Vegas recently. Department of Energy spokesman Dave Jackson said a worker saw the creature walk across the road in front of the area test site. All right, this is just a repeat of what she already just wrote. There you go. Now I kind of screwed up. I think I opened up Bobby's book to a random page. Yeah. So many. Of course I do something like that, right? Because I'm so organized. And I think ahead so smoothly at times. All right, here we go. Moving along. Let's get back to hearing from the people here. Appreciate Bobby Short big time. She did some digging, huh? This is titled We had 3 Sabe on the ranch and made a truce with them. All right, here we go. Hi, Steve. My name is Pete Kilvington. You can use my name. My wife and I were living on a ranch in southwest Alberta near High River as caretakers from 2021 to March of 2024. During our first spring of 22, I was sitting out at dusk by my shop when I heard crashing through the brush, followed by something really big, jumping into Pekisco Creek. We lived at the junction of Pekisco and Stimson Creeks in a 100-foot deep gorge. I heard it making tracks upstream, chasing some Canada geese. I could clearly tell that it was bipedal. It sure as hell was no bear. Plus, I heard something else downstream at the same time. As I headed back to the house and went up, as I headed back to the house and went up the rise, I heard clearly a loud knock coming from upstream by the swimming hole at the junction, followed by an identical knock, 2 taps, from downstream of the aforementioned creeks, and at that point had a good idea what it was. I guess that after they made their presence known, they decided to try to intimidate us, and one of them, who identified 3, scared the shit out of my wife a week later. It was cloaked and between our house and the barn one morning when it roared at my wife from probably 10 feet away. That's a shitty thing to do. I was preoccupied, didn't witness it, but my wife was pale as a ghost and terrified when she ran back to the house. What a shitty thing to do, right? Dirty pool, not fair, not good. Could have destroyed that woman's life. A week or so later, we saw one of them from 100 feet away one early morning when it crossed the path to the creek from our front. When it crossed the path to the creek from our front door in the early morning around sunrise. I was able to measure because it passed behind a horizontal branch projecting from a tree to the left, which I measured at exactly 8'9" to the bottom of the branch. The branch was 4 inches thick, and the top of its head was approximately 9 inches above the branch. Do the math. Next day I went back down to reconfirm my measurements, and the cocky bastard had snapped off that branch and laid it neatly right across the path. Anyway, after that, they started approaching the house at night, and sometimes cloaked during the day. You could tell they were there due to a shimmering haze that defined their outline. You would also see them watching us from the cliffs across Pekisco. It's either Pekisco or Pekisco. P-E-K-I-S-K-O Creek. My worst experience was when, one day, as I was going out to the paddocks to feed the 9 horses, the adolescent one we call the Joker thought it would be funny as shit to roar at me as I was surrounded by my horses from less than 100 feet away. I saw it poking out from a tree in the far side of the riding ring. It bolted across the creek and up the cliff in record time. The horses all panicked, with me amongst them, and I was rammed into the steel rails of the feeding crib, breaking 3 ribs in the process. That happened about 4 months ago. That sucks. Broken ribs suck. We've seen numerous footprints, with some measuring 21 inches. We have retrieved their hair. We have even received gifts from them. One morning we woke to find that they rearranged a rock garden while adding some very heavy and strange purple rocks, which you can't find around here anywhere. Anyway, Steve, there's been many other experiences and encounters. Tapping on the windows at night, leaving bouquets of plants under my wife's bedroom window, appearing to my wife in vivid dreams. We learned to make our peace with them and always thank them for sharing their territory with us. We moved on this April, so our Sabe experience is now behind us. But no doubt at all, these big hairy dudes are alive, well, and thriving in southwest Alberta. Keep up the great work, Steve. Thanks for being there. Pete Kilvington, rural High River, Alberta. Holy shit, Pete. I hope you don't have any fires about to affect you where you are now. And it sounds like your wife must have survived that, right? Thank God. A lot of other people have not so good reaction to that, and it's lifelong. So many questions that I come up with that one. One being, did you speak to anybody in the same area, in the same neighborhood, other ranchers or farmers? Did you speak to anybody around that immediate area that's had similar experiences, or maybe knew of a history of experiences around there? And why I'm asking, because one of my puzzle piece mysteries is, are they here full time? If not, where are they coming from and how long are they here for? Would be my question. So, me knowing if maybe your then neighbors had past history would be interesting to me. What else? The people, once you left that place, I mean, did the original owners know of this? Did you inform the next people that are going to be living there by any chance? And one other big question for me with you is going to be, if or when you have your next experience where you are now, and if that's going to happen. And if it does, please email me and let me know. All right, so now we're going to go to the part of the adventure that everybody calls being tagged. I wonder, what's going to come where you are now? Are you going to have these visits? Because I've got a lot of people who I trust who have these experiences, and hundreds of miles away have the same experiences. Basically, almost overnight, right? Meaning, these people are here one day, have their experiences, drive or fly home, boom, happens in their driveway the second they get out of the car. Been reported, right? So anyways, appreciate you coming forward, man, especially being honest and truthful with your name and being brave. It helps a lot of people here. And throw down what comes, or if you have any information of the people around there, throw it my way if you would. I'd appreciate that. Now, do I got time? I got time to read another one. I gotta get going. What is it? I've got 15 minutes to be on time, or Sarah's gonna beat me. To fear or not to fear is the title of this email. Dear Steve, your dialogue concerning whether or not you could be as scared as some of the letters you read indicate brought to my mind the story, fable, of Beowulf, Beowulf. I'm more sure than ever that all my mythology has a basis in truth. Beowulf came to help his friend, the king, to get rid of Grendel, who was killing the king's men and wrecking the king's property at will. No man could stop him. When Grendel encountered Beowulf, Grendel, could smell Beowulf's blood, and since Beowulf was not from the same people group as the king and his men, Grendel harbored no malice towards Beowulf and tried to avoid violence or confrontation. This tale is a Scandinavian/Nordic tale. My point is, you may be descended from the wrong people group for Sabe/Sasquatch to hate you. Maybe a subgroup of people, your kin, needs to be prompted to share any and all encounters that may have transpired with detail on how the person felt. Were they less than stupid scared, or did they also experience out-of-control fear? This might be a real step toward your puzzle. The fear or lack of is not due to anything you possess. Rather, I believe, it's due to the creature, Sabe, not using that particular power in the case of certain lineages of humans. A control group study would go miles in proving or disproving this theory. Remember, it can smell your blood. Use my name, Garrett McMaster. Garrett, you never know, man. You never know. Who knows? I mean, I can share my blood. I went to Norway when I was a kid. My grandparents came over here on the boat, and my aunt in Oslo did our family tree back to 700. Was it 80 BC? See, I'm not the most educated guy, am I? It was 700, and I am direct descendant of what translates to King Harold the Fair-Haired. And actually, I'll admit this publicly, My actual first name on birth certificate is Harold. And I'm named after my grandfather and after my grandfather and after my grandfather. And apparently, I'm the first son of the first son of the first son 4 or 5 generations back. There you go. So if there is anything to do with any Scandinavian lineage, there you go. And apparently my Viking grandfather died swinging an axe in a battle. I got to go see the fjord, and he died swinging axe at 70 years old, and apparently was split in two from behind. There you go. That's what I know about my blood. So is that a possibility? Maybe. 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 I think I got a few more minutes. I can squeak out some more without getting in trouble. Maybe I should just keep going until I hear the voice scream at me from the door in the shop. This is titled My Experiences. Hey Steve, I'm hoping this is the correct email to reach you at. I'm currently watching your YouTube channel while writing this. My name is Joey. And just so you guys know, last night I think I took about 45 minutes of digging, because I know a lot of people are missing their emails being read, and I'm telling you, your emails have gone everywhere. Your emails go to like 4 or 5 different emails I have, which accompany my domain name, howdhunt.com, and they all have spam folders in every single one. So I have learned, when I have time, I just start digging. And I was in a spam folder last night that had over 600 emails in it, and I went through it, and I probably found 15 emails from all of you in there hidden. And I copied and pasted them. And that's what I do when I have time in the evening. So, there you go. A little bit of a babble. I wanted to start this email off by sending my gratitude towards what you have done for people of the community and myself personally. Not only to do with the Sabe topic, but speaking the truth of the corrupt society we live in, and allowing myself and many others to have a voice in a place where you feel helpless. This may be a lengthy email, and I apologize for taking your time up, but I need to share some of the things that have happened to me in the past few years. I'm 20 years old, and I've always had a passion for being in the woods. I grew up in Alberta. I moved to British Columbia when I was 13. I live in the southern Okanagan, and I found a love for hunting, and primarily shed hunting. 3 years ago, I started to get serious about looking for antlers, and went from finding 5 total my first year to 350 pounds of mule deer antlers late season. Holy shit! Some may call it an addiction, lol. With the passion to push for larger deer and hike into spots not many folks walk, I have come to realize things about the forest that we are not taught about. I spent much of my searching in vehicle-restricted protected parks to get away from humans and find where the big deer hide. My first experience happened in February 22. I recently had found an 80-inch single and was eager to match them up. The timber has never been logged where I had found it. Excuse me, and it's almost black due to the thick canopy of the pines. You can relate. Totally. Good score. The country is deadly steep, and it takes a solid 2 hours from the trailhead to reach elevation where I have success. I always hike solo. As I entered the darker timber, my first thoughts was this would be a perfect spot for a big deer shed. As I ventured further, I began to notice the silence, as many share. Not a quiet, but a silence. I had goosebumps and felt fear. I had no clue at the time what it could be, as I am in an area with high mountain lion population and felt it could be that. Until something whistled at me from 10 yards away. Clear as anything. It was a whistle coming from behind me where I had just passed through. Next came the mind chat. The voice in your head is always there, but this is a voice of a being telling me, this isn't for you. You're not welcome. Turn around. Creepy. The whistling happened a few more times, and I didn't stick around to investigate what it may be. I hiked out of the deep timber into some open rocky country until the silence and whistling stopped. I went back to my truck and felt as if my day had been ruined. It was and still is my favorite spot, and I felt as if I was not allowed to be there. I kept this to myself and went back up a weekend later. I ended up finding the match to my antler a few days after my birthday and was determined to get past this nasty canyon to check a new spot out. This requires me to push through the dark timber where things were going on. Any occasion I walk through there, I feel pressured and an unwanted feeling. I knew something was up and spoke to a close friend of mine who mentioned your channel. It took one YouTube video of yours to realize what I experienced. Due to my addiction for looking for antlers, I continue to push into spots I know Sabe live. I want to state my opinion on their presence as it is important to how I go about my hiking. I believe just like people there is bad Sabe and good Sabe. And I am lucky enough to have not had my love for the bush stripped like many have. Found a small spike antler over the winter and I thought I could use it for something. One day I hiked back into the timber patch where my experience had happened and I left the antler with a small amount of tobacco. I asked of them, I am here because I share the same love of the forest as they do. I will not take more than I need and I will always respect their space. I tried my best to explain. I know they are there, but I'm not willing to participate in their business in the mountains, and this has lifted an immense amount of fear from the spots I hike into. I think this could be important for folks who have ongoing experiences but are not willing to give up the love of the forest due to these beings. I am sure in my lifetime more things in the backcountry will show me the truth, but for now this is my story. I appreciate you, Steve, and hope this story gets to you and all the other folks on your page. Take care and congrats on the stud muley and blacktail this year. Yours truly, Joey. There you go. Joey sounds like you're going about it the right way. It's exactly what I've been doing, man. It was been working for me for the most part. And if you get a chance, email me a picture of the matching sheds you got. I'd like to see them. And just so you know, I went to my favorite spot, shed hunting, this year, and I got 3 days in. Didn't find one antler. Not one, and I used to fill a backpack there. And I feel the pressure when I get, my good spots are typically a 2-hour hike, regardless, just to get there, like you just mentioned. And then anywhere beyond that is my personal weird border, where I start to feel, nope, don't go over that ridge, don't keep going. Sometimes I almost wind up getting so frustrated with my favorite places diminishing of the sign. Sometimes I wonder if somebody is intentionally taking those sheds ahead of me to help encourage me to quit going there. You never know. But then again, 3 years ago, I had a huge shed put on the trail that I'd already gone over, and it was a main migration trail. I don't miss shit on those trails. And I walked that trail a million times, and I walked through shed hunting, turned around, came back, boom, there it is, right on the trail, and from the deer that I was hopefully finding a shed antler from. So, I don't know, who knows, man. But anyway, so your friend suggested the channel. Does your friend have any experiences to share? How about your hunting crew, your friends? They opened up about it? I wonder. Anyway, you get a chance, show me a picture of those sheds, and if I think of it, next time I'm on here, I have a mule deer shed that will freak you out, and I'll show it on here. I found it years ago. When I was contracting in Whistler, Pemberton. Sometimes I go to the city to pick up my own materials because I was starting out and I was saving on shipping money and stuff, and sometimes I go to pawn stores and use places to look for deals on tools. And it was during the Sea to Sky Highway project. And I went to this one pawn store, I think it was, and here's this frickin' mule deer shed sitting on the shelf for $6. And I kind of looked at it and went, oh my God. Actually, hold on a minute. I'm going to get it right now. Of course, this is in the bottom of the stack, but look at this thing. Look at this frickin' muley shed. Is that lens even back far enough? Look at this thing. That's what you call frickin' hammer time. Hey, look at it. So there's this thing sitting on the shelf. And I ran a tape on it. And went out because the Sea to Sky highway project was on the go. I had to sit there in line for like up to an hour and something at a time. And I pulled a tape measure out of my toolbox. I started running the tape on it. And I think that thing, if you give it like I forget what I gave it, 20 inches inside or something, works out to like a 230-inch buck if you doubled it. What? What a mystery. Don't know where it came from, who found it, what mountain it was on, even if it was from BC. But there you go. That's the largest mule deer shit I got my hand on. Anyway, got a little sidetrack there with a fellow outdoors enthusiast. I gotta go. I'm about to get yelled at without a doubt. So, share my story at howtohunt.com. Sarah's got 50 of these and that's it. There's my text from the boss. I gotta go. It's in her store. How to hunt store? Something. Sorry. Well, I gotta go. Share my story at howtohunt.com. That's where you're gonna get it shared word for word. If you don't share it here, share it somewhere else, alright? Quit being afraid of humans and ridicule. Gotta go, I'm in trouble.